Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
He's under contract, and I'm excited to coach him. We've already started thinking about how we're going to build those systems for him and our other quarterbacks, and really our, the tremendous skill group we have, our guys up front. It takes all 11 to move the football on offense, to run it, to throw it, to score points in the red zone. But I'm anticipating Kirk being a part of what we do.
Yeah, just to reiterate, I'm excited that he's excited to coach him and lead him, and we're focused on building the team around him that set us up to succeed the best we can.
You know what that clip is? You guys remember a few years ago there was the picture of the dress that got posted on social media?
Oh, yeah.
It was like, is the dress blue or gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And half of people, I don't know, depending on whatever, like the way that your brain is wired, saw blue and half saw gold. I mean, that's that clip. That, like, people hear that clip and they're like, oh, look, they're going to pour all this energy into Kirk Cousins. They're going to see, they're already building systems and processes for Kirk Cousins. And then the other half of people were like, well, boy, like there was an awkward pause, and then he's under contract, and we anticipate him being the quarterback. Depends on which way you look at it.
I'm telling you, I don't think Kwesi has perfected the art yet, the art of deception. He seemed very uncomfortable trying to answer that question, knowing that his answer did not necessarily reflect the truth of the situation.
Yeah. Well, they're new at this. They're
Right.
not quite as seasoned as Rick Spielman when it comes to protecting your cards and holding your cards close to your chest.
Rick would have given the old Rick laugh.
So this is Purple Daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. I'm Phil Mackey, Judd Zolgad, our executive producer Declan Goff. Thanks to TCL for helping power the show too. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. And every week, we dive into the comments, both on the YouTube channel and also through the Score North app. You can always hit us up by opening up the free Score North app. We sift through Twitter. Your comments, critiques, concerns, questions, whatever it is, we turn the show over to you guys a couple days a week here. Let's start with Nick Moe via the Score North app. Not sure if you guys have talked about this, but the other day, Vikings social media sent out a Valentine's Day message on their social media accounts with pictures of 8 different Vikings: Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen. They even went back to Fran Tarkenton, but no Kirk Cousins. There was no Kirk Cousins among these star Vikings on Valentine's Day. Isn't it weird that they wouldn't include their highest paid player? I remember the same kind of stuff happening right before the Diggs trade a few years ago. Am I looking too far into this, or do you think there's some potential smoke here?
Oh, 1,000% there's smoke there. Teams don't leave star players, and especially QBs, off of a promotional material like that, unless there's something. There is. Does this mean he's gone for sure? Absolutely not. Does this mean that they have started the process of distancing themselves a bit? It looks that way. That's why I keep coming back to, I don't think we know. Like, there's a big faction of, Kirk is staying. And then there's the faction of, no, he's going. I am in the middle right now of saying this. There is cause for suspicion. This is National Football League. Lots of times that's the case. But do I think when Fran Tarkenton is your quarterback choice for a Valentine's Day team card, and DJ Wanham makes the pictures, and your star quarterback, air quotes, doesn't? Like, yes, that is a nice catch. That is absolutely accurate. And I think to dismiss it as, it means nothing is wishful thinking, and it comes from a Kirk stan if you're doing that.
I'm curious. I just want to see here. I'm just going to pull up Kirk's Instagram. I just want to make sure he hasn't scrubbed all Vikings references from his gram. Nope. He still has
the
Vikings hat in his profile picture.
Okay. You might not be just a big Valentine's Day person in general either, Kirky. I don't. Kirky doesn't strike me as a guy who goes all out for Valentine's.
He's not a romantic.
No, I don't.
I don't know, man.
That
I
van
don't
he
know.
drives. No, I don't see him pulling out all the stops on February 14th to show. I could be. That's reckless speculation to the 10th degree on a man celebrating a fabricated holiday. But that's just how I look at it.
JJ. By the way, I agree. I think it's weird. I think it's weird that they wouldn't include him. Yeah, here's 8 players. All right, which one should we use? Should we use Kirk? No, let's use DJ Wanham instead of Kirk. It's just kind of Fran Tarkenton.
Who's our quarterback then? The guy who last played in 1978.
60s, yeah. Right. It's a little odd. Especially on a social media platform, right? Even Twitter, like, skews a little older, but not that there's not people on Twitter that remember Fran Tarkenton, but like the majority of people that follow the Vikings on Twitter did not watch Fran Tarkenton play football. So
yes, correct.
Kind of weird.
Yes.
JJ Wyzinski via the Score North app says, question from a recovering Kirk stan. If Kwesi, and by the way, we should warn people too who get easily triggered by Kirk discussions, like 90% of the feedback from you guys, both on Mackie and Judd and the questions here today on Purple Daily, are about Kirk Cousins. So like you guys have flooded us with Kirk Cousins and Vikings quarterback questions, and we're going to answer them. So JJ says, question from a recovering Kirk stan. If Kwesi and KOC were hired to find our franchise quarterback and they extend Cousins, would that give you less faith in them or more faith in Kirk? Last year was enough for me to give up on Kirk, but KOC might be what he needs. I'm a new Score North fan. Thank you for the content. Thank you, JJ, for stumbling into our show. So what would you think if these two guys who we think are both smart, they seem like they have a clear mind and clear eyes as to what they want for a franchise, and if they say, "Yep, we're going to extend him," would you have more faith in Kirk or would you have less faith in them?
I would have more faith in Kirk and faith in them if they extend Kirk at a drastic salary reduction. If they give him more than he is currently making, I have less faith in them, not more faith in Kirk. Kirk Cousins on the right contract. Am I convinced that he could then win a Super Bowl? No. Am I convinced that you would build a roster that would give you a better chance to compete? Absolutely. But if we're talking about the natural progression of things and they give him another 2-year extension and it's for more than the $66 million that this current contract extension is for, it actually gives me less faith in them because they should know that at that price, he's not worth it.
Dex?
Yeah, my view of Kirk is going to stay the same until I literally see him prove it on the field. And I understand that the cap hit is absurd right now, but it depends on what that restructure looks like, and then it also depends on what Kirk does. If the ownership, if Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell can get him to commit to the long-term vision of this franchise and helping them winning a Super Bowl, then I'm all for that. But my perception of Kirk is going to stay the same until I see it on the field.
Oh, it's a really good question. Because I'm all in on Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell. So I would tend to lean more toward if they see something that warrants a contract extension, I'm certainly not going to say, well, they're idiots. I'm going to say, okay. I'm skeptical. I feel like there's better paths forward here for the Vikings to win a Super Bowl as a franchise, but it would, I guess my answer is it would give me more faith in Kirk, but not enough to say, oh, Super Bowl bound. I would be skeptical. Noah via Twitter says, Phil, I've watched Purple Daily, and some of the things you argue against Kirk are immeasurable. Like you say, he just doesn't have the it factor. Kirk has enough to win. Stafford is proof. Just to reiterate here, he says, some of the things you argue against Kirk are immeasurable. That is correct. That is 100% correct. I don't know that you can measure heart or guile or the ability to be quiet-minded in key situations. Like,
yeah, I think I'm the one though who said more about the it factor. I think you bring more tangible things. I can just tell.
I bring a ton of stats to the table that show deficiencies in key
which
moments.
Are tangible.
Yeah.
But he does not have the intangibles. Again, statistically, he is a top 10 statistically, just pure stats, box score. He is a top 10 quarterback in this league. Intangible, it factor, if that's the phrase, he is in my opinion, bottom 8.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's actually a good segue into this next one. There's kind of another gotcha tweet here from Pastor Poe. Says Kirk Cousins had identical stats last year to Brett Favre in 2009. And I would flip that back on you and say, you could probably play that game for like a lot of Kirk's career. You could compare a lot of Kirk's season stats to a lot of all-time great quarterbacks. Why doesn't he have any trips to a conference title game or any trips to a Super Bowl? Why is he 500 for his career? Well, part of it maybe is, maybe he doesn't have the best teammates all the time, but like throughout his career, he's had amazing weapons. He took over a 13-3 Ferrari and the best defense in the NFL and drove it into the ditch at the end of that season, the beginning of the end of that season. So I think if you're saying, 2009 Brett Favre, 2021 Kirk Cousins, I would say, well, don't you think there are some things that statistically aren't quantifiable that made Brett Favre such a better quarterback and those teams throughout his career so much better? Is the difference between Brett Favre for 15 years, Super Bowl champion, multiple trips to conference title games, tons of wins, is the difference defense? Is the difference offensive line? Or is the difference something about those guys as quarterbacks and leaders? And maybe there's a little bit sprinkled in here like, there's some Vikings haven't had great offensive lines, but ask more when you see that Kirk's stats don't equate to team wins. Don't just stop there and say, well, the team must be garbage because look at his stats. Ask more questions about why. That's my challenge to some of the Cousins Crusaders.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, his stats are great. He has a great box score. He puts up a fantastic statistical summary. It is off the charts. When I get the stat sheets, I look at those stat sheets. I pull out a highlighter. I get this out and I start highlighting because it's so impressive. Does it translate?
You have a highlighter. That's amazing.
I've got a try. I've got like 4 of them. Not so
Literally
fast, my friend. Not so fast. But I don't know. I don't know why, if it can't be quantified, we dismiss it.
Yeah.
And look, I love stats too, but the reality is this: certain people have it, and I'm not talking just in sports. I'm talking in life. Certain people have it, and certain people don't, and it's not hard to tell them apart pretty quickly.
Yeah. Let's see here. Mark Myers via the Score North app says, wanted you to know that my kid just got me listening to you guys, and I'm wondering why I haven't listened before. The insight you provide is second to none, so I don't even open Bleacher Report anymore. Plus, you speak our language with Surly as well. Cheers from Mark Myers via the Score North app. And you know what? That's an amazing comment. Thank you. We appreciate you discovering us for the first time. And I think we will cheers a Surly here. Let's cheers to the weekend.
You know what?
The Kevin O'Connell era of Vikings football. Let's get it.
Let's not cheers one, though. Let's cheers the first Surly Variety Pack of 2022, which includes, of course, the world-famous Furious, because that's an outstanding IPA, but also Ghost Empire Dark Lager, Havoc Machine, and I've been talking about this for a week and a half now, the hyper-modern Idaho 7 IPA, which is delicious. Head to your local liquor store now. Buy the variety pack. Go home and enjoy these beers from Surly. They're fantastic. And while you're enjoying them, take out that phone. Take out that phone, boys. Put that phone up in front of that beer. And what can people do?
Show us your cans.
Show us your taps.
Exactly right. At Jay Zolgad on Twitter. Thank you, Surly.
Show us your cans. Business owners out there, Federated is waiting with open arms to help take your business to another level through wonderful risk management resources, tools, and people that have been around for a long time. You can actually just go to federatedinsurance.com and you can type in your address, your business's address or zip code, and you can find your local Federated marketing rep, and you can just have a conversation with them and see what they can do to help protect your business and elevate your business. Federatedinsurance.com, and remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. David Rysted via the Score North app says, hey guys, love the show. Thank you, David. So I understand Kirk is paid more than he is worth. However, hear me out. We extend Kirk for about 3 years to balance out the cap hit early. Draft a quarterback of the future. In parentheses, he says Kirk may have issues with competition. Develop the new quarterback his first year. Then next year, if in the Kevin O'Connell style offense is no good, you trade him and move on. However, it was just that he never had a supportive coach around. If it was just that he never had a supportive coach around him and he shines, you potentially revitalized a quarterback that has played in about the top half of the league. There's a discussion to be had if using him as a bridge quarterback works in this way. Listen, as skeptical as I've been about Kirk forever, I'm curious. I'll admit it. Like, would I like to see Kirk with a full-on supportive coach? Yes. Do I think the ship has sailed for this franchise? Yes. I think the time would have been, man, 2018, this team's ready to pop, or 2019, right? Even 2020. But I just feel like his age, the money that he's still going to command, everything, I just think the ship has sailed on this, and I'd rather get draft pick compensation than like ride out, another 3 years of contract extensions. I don't know.
Why are we dismissing his time in Washington, where he, by the way, had coaches who loved him, who encouraged him?
Yeah.
Like he had and I'm sure I'll get their teams weren't good, Judd. You don't understand. But yes, Mike didn't want Kirk, and it fractured quickly, and it didn't work, and I get that. And and to be clear, it's on both of them. But in Washington, he had the Shanahan support system in full. So, like, why aren't we talking about that? Why we are just like, well, he got here and he wasn't supported, and yeah, that's too bad. That's Mike's fault. That's Kirk's fault. But he literally had runway with people who loved him, who greased the skids for him, and we sort of just like forget that.
And he may not have been supported here, but he entered into a top 5 defense and then a top 10 defense the first 2 years, along with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen as 2 top 10 receivers, and they won 1 playoff game in 2 years. Like we keep saying, well, but if you just give him this, he's like, whatever this is, he's had at some point.
Well, and if he had been drafted here and crapped on, I would say, yeah, that's not fair. But he was in Washington for an extended period. I believe became their full-time starter for 2 or 3 years, and had coaches who loved him supposedly.
Yeah. Yeah, even, by the way, Jay Gruden at the end kind of hated him, but like Jay Gruden was an offensive guy, and ultimately wasn't it Jay Gruden who chose Kirk Cousins over RG3, right?
Yeah.
When he took over for Mike
That's
Shanahan.
Correct. But O'Connell was there, LaFleur was there, Kyle was there. Yeah. Like that's a whole family support system that's off the charts.
Yeah. JC30 on Twitter says, hope you read it and share it on the show. I'm from Quebec City in Canada, and I'm a listener of Purple Daily for more than a year now. That's awesome.
Thank you.
After watching the press conference, write this down. Kirk Cousins won't be with the Vikings after the draft, and Kellen Mond will be the Vikings starting quarterback week 1. Hope the show keeps growing, even if I don't always agree with your takes. That's what makes the show interesting. What is the % chance that Kellen Mond is the week 1 starter with nothing to do with injury? Like that they make a trade and they take a step back, and Kellen Mond is the week 1 starter. % chance.
I would put it right now at like 2%. I don't see it. I don't think it would be fair to Kellen Mond. He did not get, as far as I can tell, he did not get that behind the scenes rookie training. That disaster, that 3-play disaster that I don't blame him for in Green Bay, I think was a snapshot of just how mistreated he was. I don't see Kevin O'Connell stepping in and saying, I can fix him this quickly. So 2%. Yeah. But I love the Cousins thing because I don't disagree with that. I will not be surprised at all if all of the smoke about Kirk's our guy and we're going to proceed with Kirk turns out to be BS. And by the way, if it is, I will applaud it. Good job.
If Kirk's indeed gone, I put it at about 10%. I think it's a 10% chance that he'd be the starter. Because obviously, if you're trading Kirk, you're either A, bringing in a bridge quarterback, or B, drafting another rookie, and Mond is most likely competing with that person in training camp. And with the Vikings coaching staff having an overhaul here and getting more offensive, there could be something more to Kellen Mond. Yes, he was far behind in his development last year, but I think that was coaching staff holding him back. So if they moved on from Kirk, I would say it's about 10% because the person they're acquiring with the bridge or the rookie is most likely going to have the leg up and probably has a little bit more upside because the new coaching staff is taking that player with their own evaluations. But I would put it about 10%.
I would say if they trade Kirk Cousins, there's like a 5% chance of Kellen Mond and a 95% chance of either Teddy Bridgewater or Marcus Mariota being the starting quarterback.
Mhm.
I think they would go outside.
Guard him.
You know, people scoff at Bridgewater, but like that dude is a locker room leader. You know, for the most part, his teams are competitive, right? The Broncos were 7-7 when he was the starter last year. I think they were 0-3 in the Drew Lock games. So they were on their way to maybe winning 9 or 10, excuse me, and making the playoffs with Teddy Bridgewater and all of his deficiencies. So I could see one of those two guys much more before I could see Kellen Mond being the week 1 starter if they trade Kirk. Jeff in Arkansas asks, will Purple Daily run 365 days a year or take a break after the draft? Oh, Jeff. No breaks. This will be our 3rd summer. So the 3 of us took over Purple Daily on a daily basis almost 2 years ago now. So we'll be entering our 3rd summer, and we are going to give you daily Vikings entertainment in June, July, in May after the draft is over. We got you covered. And we'll have some stuff, you know, I think we're going to try and we'll mix in some fun sort of, you know, evergreen, because there's not a whole lot happening. Although I'll say like the OTAs and mini camps this year are going to be much more interesting because it's all new, right?
Yes.
So there's going to be tons to talk about as opposed to like, you know, last year, 2 years ago, they weren't even doing any of those things because of the pandemic. But yes, 365 days a year, we will be hitting you up with daily Vikings entertainment. Cliff via YouTube says, watching Purple Daily is like watching reruns of a nagging wife. Move on from the Cousins discussion already.
The comments, man. We're going through the comments. What are we supposed to do? Ignore it?
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get that, you know, some of our Cousins discussions probably do get repetitive, but there's new information coming out on a daily basis, right? There's new reports. There's a Deshaun Watson thing. Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi speak about Cousins. I mean, it is the absolute most important thing that this franchise is staring at right now.
We broke down guards and centers for an entire show yesterday, okay?
Excuse me. Yeah, we did. What more do you want? We talked about
potatoes.
freaking we gave you inside information about Brandon Scherf's desires to play for the Vikings
which keeps getting reconfirmed.
Season. I've now gotten 4 or 5 direct messages from people in the state of Iowa or
Denison.
that have connections that
Denison, Iowa,
that have said, yes, I'm hearing the same thing, that Brandon Scherf would love to play for the Vikings. And I'll tell you, a few years ago, I heard some similar rumblings about Thomas Vanek when he was available to be. That was a signing, right? They signed Thomas Vanek.
That was a signing.
And I got DMs, you know, months leading up to it saying, hey, family, friends, everyone's saying Thomas Vanek wants to play for the Wild. So don't dismiss the rumblings around family and friends.
Let's hope if Scherf signs here, it works out a little bit better than Thomas Vanek did.
I was sitting next to Mike Yosey and Thomas Vanek on the eve of free agency day at Champs in Woodbury, a young 21-year-old Declan, and I almost wanted to report it, but I was a little nervous, so I didn't do it. But it was Vanek.
So they were like getting dinner together at Champs.
I was with my girlfriend at the time and her family, and then her dad looked at me and goes, "Isn't that Vanek?" And I look over, and Mike Yo was the most recognizable human being in the world. Yeah. And both of them were sitting at Champs, sharing some waffle fries, having a beer, and I'm sure carving out a contract.
All right, listen, I love Champs. And if Champs ever wants to be part of Purple Daily or Mackie and Judd, I'm all in on Champs. Okay, don't get me wrong. The Vikings take prospective free agents to the most expensive steakhouse in Minneapolis, Manny's downtown, right? And the Wild are taking prospective free agents to just like sports bars in the suburbs.
Well, Chuck might have gone.
You guys want to go to Chili's or what?
I know Vanek is a Woodbury Matamidi guy, so I'm sure it was just in his neck of the woods. But yes, it is quite comical when you break it down like that.
So my guess is this: Chuck and the boys probably took him officially out to like the St. Paul Grill, something really classy, right? Something nice.
Love St. Paul Grill.
I heard in retrospect, Yo was not on board with that move, and that he had to be convinced. So this might have been breaking bread for Thomas to tell Yo, I want to be there. I'm going to try hard. What he should have said is, Mike, I'm signing this contract to retire, because he was. but Yo had a premonition, or at least just flat out knew that there were some very questionable things, and was smart enough to be skeptical. And I bet that was a couple beers, waffle fries,
couple
trying
patty melts.
trying to convince Mike, no, I'm coming here to win, as opposed to
I'm gonna
no.
back check. It's fine. Don't
I
worry
just
about
want
it.
a contract that's huge.
Let's get Brandon Scherf. Just following him on social media, looks like a meat and potatoes guy.
I don't think he'll retire.
JD Hoyt's back room, Manny's. Let's no, and he's got a few years left of high level guard play in him. So
Absolutely.
all right, those are your comments here. By the way, if you get a chance this weekend, the St. Thomas men's hockey team is playing its last home series of its first Division I season against Lake Superior State. And so you can check out for tickets TommySports.com, TommySports.com, and check them out. So, all right, boys, those are your comments. Dive into the comment section.
Go Kirk stands. Cousins Crusaders. Let's all unite.
See, why do you have to? Now you're going to end the episode just mocking.
Why you have to do that?
Mocking
no,
people?
I'm saying we all have to unite.
You're manipulating questions.
No, it's time for healing in the
You're
Viking community.
antagonizing.
No,
agitate.
I'm Viking. It's time for healing. What I'm doing is I am uniting us all. Let's
I feel
all
like
sit down,
you're
early,
gaslighting
and get
people
along.
now. You're gaslighting people.
Yeah, you're just like Katie Thurston and Greg from The Bachelor right now. You are literally gaslighting each other.
What I'm doing is I'm trying to promote healing, and you two knuckleheads are stopping it from happening. All of us are going to get together on Twitter. Unity.
Kumbaya, a little Kirk Kumbaya.
Yes, Kirk
coming
Kumbaya.
At some point.
Thank you very much. Collaboration.
All right. We'll see you guys. Purple Daily Vikings Entertainment.